Hello there, 8th graders, and welcome to today's Explainer. Have you ever looked at a history textbook and just felt like you were staring at a giant locked door? Just a massive, heavy door covered in old dates, random names, and dusty places? Well, today we are going to unlock that door together. History isn't actually just a bunch of random facts. It's a fascinating, living system of patterns. And to unlock those patterns, you just need the right tools. So today, we're going to hand you 3 master keys: chronology, cause and effect, and compare and contrast. Once you have these keys in your pocket, history goes from being this stubborn locked door to a wide-open window that literally helps you understand the entire world around you. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's exactly what we're covering today. 1. The patterns of history. 2. Key 1. Chronology. 3. Key 2. Cause and effect. 4. Key 3. Compare and contrast. 5. A quick homework review where it's your turn. And finally, number 6, education, morality, and peace.
Section 1. The patterns of history. Finding the rhythm in the chaos.
You see, the absolute biggest mistake people make is thinking history is just this chaotic collection of boring dates you have to memorize for a test. But it really isn't. It's a series of deeply connected patterns. Once you find the rhythm in all that chaos, everything just starts to make perfect sense. But to really grasp this rhythm, we need to look at some foundational wisdom. Ecclesiastes 3:1 tells us, "There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens." I want you to really think about that for a second. A time and a season for everything. This ancient scripture perfectly explains the why behind learning history in the first place. Human events aren't just random accidents. They follow seasons. They follow rhythms and cycles. So when we study history, we're actually studying the seasons of human behavior.
Because at the end of the day, history is not random. It follows patterns that help us make decisions in our daily life. And I'll tell you directly, understanding these historical patterns doesn't just help you ace your social studies tests, though, hey, it'll definitely do that. It actually equips you to make way better choices in your own everyday life. When you know how human beings acted in the past during certain seasons, you can kind of predict how they might act today. And that means you can navigate your own challenges with so much more wisdom.
Section 2. Key 1. Chronology and building a clear story of events.
Let's go ahead and pick up our very first master key. I am incredibly excited to share this one with you because this is the tool that takes a super confusing pile of facts and magically transforms it into a clear, gripping story. So what is it? Well, by definition, chronology is simply organizing events in the order that they happened. Okay, that's the what. But the why is so much more important. Historians use chronology to build a sequence so they can see the story unfold from the beginning, through the middle, all the way to the end. Imagine watching your favorite movie completely out of order. The plot would make absolutely zero sense, right? Well, history is the exact same way. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these 2 massive events in the American Revolution get so much context just by being put on a timeline. First, in 1773, we have the Boston Tea Party, where colonists dumped tea right into the harbor to protest British taxes. Then, just 3 years later, in 1776, we have the Declaration of Independence. By knowing the Tea Party happened first, we can perfectly trace that rising tension with Britain. The anger and rebellion of 1773 naturally built up, it boiled over, and ultimately led to the official break from the king in 1776. Chronology literally gives us the plot. Section 3. Key 2. Cause and effect. Explaining why history changes. So, if chronology tells us the sequence of the story, cause and effect answers the ultimate question: why did the story happen that way? Cause and effect relationships help us see how one event leads directly to another. It's basically the simple rule that every action in history has a reaction. Nothing happens in a vacuum. People make choices or events occur, and those things trigger this massive domino effect that changes the world. This master key helps us map out exactly what those connections are.
Let's look at a really profound example of this chain reaction. Step 1. The cause. In 1793, Eli Whitney invents the cotton gin, which is a machine that quickly separates cotton fibers from their seeds. Okay, so step 2, the effect. Cotton production skyrockets. But tragically, because processing cotton was suddenly so fast and so wildly profitable, the demand for enslaved labor to pick that cotton also skyrocketed right along with it. One single invention, the cause, multiplied the brutal expansion of slavery, the effect. Mapping this out helps us understand exactly why the economy and society of the American South changed so drastically in such a super short amount of time.
Section 4. Key 3. Compare and contrast, deepening our understanding.
If chronology is the timeline and cause and effect is the domino rally, then comparing and contrasting is our magnifying glass. It reveals the hidden similarities and differences that explain why things turn out the way they do. And this brilliantly illustrates how we use that tool. Here we have a comparison of two key leaders from the American Civil War, Abraham Lincoln versus Jefferson Davis. When we compare them, we see some real similarities. Both were presidents leading fractured nations at the exact same time, and both were carrying the immense weight of a brutal war. But when we contrast them, we see the absolute fundamental difference in their goals. Lincoln fought to preserve the Union of the United States, while Davis sought total independence for the Confederacy. By placing them side by side like this, we gain a much deeper understanding of the core conflict of the whole Civil War.
Section 5. Your turn. Homework review, testing your master keys.
Okay, 8th graders, I've got some pretty great news for you. With the 3 master keys you just acquired, your social studies homework is going to be an absolute breeze today. Let's test them out right now. Here are your 5 questions. Number 1, what is chronology? Well, you know this. It's organizing events in the order they happened. Number 2, give an example of cause and effect. You can easily use the cotton gin leading to the massive expansion of enslaved labor. Number 3, why is comparing and contrasting important? Because it acts like a magnifying glass to reveal the similarities and differences that explain historical outcomes. Number 4, name 2 leaders from the Civil War to compare. That's easy. Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis, right? And number 5, how does chronology help historians? It builds a clear, sequential story of events. Look at that! You are fully equipped. You hold the keys.
Section 6. Education, Morality, and Peace, the HeroesMart Academy Philosophy. Now, I want to shift gears for just a moment and talk directly to you about why we are actually doing all of this. In the Godly Learner series, we don't just want you to be some walking encyclopedia of historical facts. There is a much, much bigger purpose to your education. Look at Romans 8, 6, and 7. It promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps his or her mind spiritual. This right here is the cornerstone of our entire philosophy. True peace doesn't come just from getting an A on a history test. It comes from perfectly intertwining your academic education with a strong, spiritual, moral foundation. When you deliberately keep your mind focused on what is good, right, and spiritual, you experience an unshakable peace of mind as you engage with the world.
So the crucial point is this: education without morality will hurt. Really let that sink in for a second. You can have all the master keys to history. You can literally be the smartest person in the room, capable of identifying every chronological timeline and brilliantly mapping out every cause and effect. But all the smarts in the world mean absolutely nothing if you don't have a moral compass to guide how you actually use that knowledge.
I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to carry with you today. Ask yourself, what is the point of being smart and highly educated if you just continue to make bad choices that cause pain to yourself and others? History shows us exactly what happens when brilliant people make immoral choices. Don't repeat those patterns. Use your education, use your new master keys, not just to understand the past, but to make wise, moral choices that bring genuine peace to your future. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Remember to keep your mind spiritual, and I'll see you in the next one.